Yesterday, 7.1.5 came out. It launched, it went live, and I wanted to kind of share my thoughts on a few things about the launch, how the patch is going, and my personal experiences with the launch and what I've been doing and spending my time on. So, with all that being said, I want to just kind of jump into my day. It was honestly, I just kind of started playing the game. Um, and I started playing the game at about, I don't know, noon or so, and I basically just queued arena on my mage and on my demon hunter pretty much all day to kind of understand what's really strong, and also kind of how mage is going too, because mage is in a position right now where a lot of the specs were changed. Well, pretty much all the every spec was changed, like numbers wise. And what was really cool is I played a lot of Fire Mage, and Fire Mage actually does damage now. It has a possible burst damage. It's actually pretty viable in a lot of situations, and it makes sense whenever you're playing the right comps, like Rogue Mage, for example. Fire Mage works pretty well. Um, and on top of that, not only does Fire Mage do well, but Arcane Mage does well. I was playing Arcane Mage, and it's actually very strong right now. I think it's a little bit overtuned because I was doing like 800,000 Arcane Blasts and 700,000 Mark of Illuminates, and like all that damage was really overtuned. But I honestly, guys, it doesn't seem like there was many classes out there that were nerfed. It feels like every class got a buff in some capacity due to the damage. I just feel like everyone's damage just seems very high. There was many times where I was getting completely one shot from like 80% health down to zero in like 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Um, and on top of that, like I was also doing the same thing to other people. I was also killing people like with a few spells, and like just a couple spells, and it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to do in regard to the damage because it just seems so high, and I think a lot of top players seem to agree with that right now. Um, I guess there's really not a huge like understanding of what to do about that right now. I personally think it has a lot to do with like the critical strike like modifiers. For everyone that doesn't know, crits in PvP and like instance PvP will crit on a player for 1.5 times the damage. So if you crit someone for 100,000, then in PvP, or sorry, if you hit someone for 100,000, and you were to crit a player with that exact same ability at that exact same number, then it would be 150,000, right? I just think that since the numbers are getting so high with all of the artifact power stuff and all of all of the item level stuff, that you're starting to get those stats unlocked. I just feel like the crits are starting to get a little high, especially for destruction warlocks, especially for arcane mages, windwalker monks, frost death knights, demon hunters even have that, and it just seems like damage is very high overall for arena right now, and that really does seem to bother a lot of people. But moving on from that, it does seem like arcane is really the top spec right now. I think fire is very close. And it does seem like Frost is kind of falling off because with Frost you have to cast a lot. Like you have to just spam Frostbolt, spam Glacial Spike, and Frostbolt actually got a little bit of a nerf. So since Arcane basically does the same thing, it offers slows, it offers consistent kiting better than Frost Mage does, and you do a pretty solid amount of burst damage, which is kind of like the whole point of Frost Mage in my opinion, is to have burst damage available with the Glacial Spikes, with the Frostbolt, Ice Nova combos, whatever it is. It seems like Arcane is really pulling ahead, but Fire is also very close. Okay, so moving on from that, I want to talk about the level 35 traits and up that were enabled and then disabled. Okay, so this is something that was like super controversial in the PvP community because one day before the patch launch, this very small line of text just slides into the patch notes saying that all of the artifact traits for your artifact level 35 and up will be enabled. And what does this do? This basically means that everyone that has a level 54 artifact weapon will not only have a huge amount of increased damage in arena, but also will have a lot more health in arena. And this is like, honestly, like having the 54 traits enabled is fine for arena. It's just the problem is that they notified the PvP community that this was happening one day before the patch launched, and that's where people got really sore about it. Is because 7.1.5 has been in testing for about 2 months, and on the PTR, I'm gonna be honest, guys. Like this last PTR session for this patch was probably the worst I've ever experienced. There was no pre-made characters available for testing, so I couldn't like log on, make a Shadow Priest on the PTR, and then test the new Shadow Priest changes that were super drastic to the class. There was really poor communication for what was happening in the patch notes. like what was actually changing in the patch and then being delivered into the actual patch notes on a timely basis, and also being like very I guess just upfront and transparent with that and communicating. Just like honestly, the overall transition from a numbers standpoint of like what the tuning was like, especially for PvP, was just very poor. And I think Blizzard knows that. I think they've seen and acknowledged that, because not only did they revert these 35 and up changes and give a pretty solid reasoning as to why they enabled it in the first place, but they were pretty honest and open with the fact that they did not communicate that very well with the community. So honestly, I don't have a whole lot of hard feelings. But I do feel like that there's a lot of changes that should be happening within their infrastructure that I think would solve a lot of these problems before they even happen. For example, I think the PTR needs to be taken seriously. Honestly, I don't see how through like the development process that the development teams can take these huge changes. Because actually, like Demon Hunter, like the burst spec that I made a video on, a lot of that was nerfed right after I made that video, because I made the video 2 days before the patch because I thought that would be safe enough to understand like the stuff is going to go live, because it was 2 days before the patch. And then they come in with a huge tuning sweep and just like nerf and buff and change a lot of different things and enable 35 and up traits on artifact weapons for PvP 1 day before the patch. And I think that was really, really poor on their part, but I think that they can get better. Things that I would like to see, honestly, them get better at is very simple. I would just like to see maybe a developer like Ian, or maybe even just a PvP developer like Brian Alinka or whatever, come onto a traditional media site like YouTube, like Twitch, whatever it is, just get in front of a camera for 10 to 20 minutes and just talk about things that they're wanting to change and get into the specifics, go over each class for a minute, and just talk about things, because I don't really think that this huge essay of patch notes that is correct half the time is working. I think that is a very old model that that the Blizzard team has been using since 2004. And while I see value to having that there, like the patch notes there, I think that there could be more than just that kind of communicated through content other than just patch notes on the WoW forums. I think that there could be maybe a series or maybe like a weekly thing where people could, or like developers could come up and talk about changes that they're making to their game. I don't know, just an idea, whatever. Outside of that, guys, I tested the Brawlgar arena, and it seemed like super easy because I'm at a pretty high island level on my mage. I'm like 890 now, so it's pretty simple for me, but it was pretty cool. I want to get rank 8 on it. I think it'd be like a lot of fun, so I'll probably be doing that on my live stream, and kind of just it's not very serious to me, so it seems like pretty easy. I completed the first like 5 or 6 bosses in like, I don't know, 20 minutes. Like it's not hard at all. So I'm sure anyone out there could do it if you really wanted to, but it's a pretty cool little thing, so be sure to search that out on YouTube. There's a lot of content creators out there that put that out there. But overall, guys, I think that the patch, I think that it was a successful one. I don't think that the launch was successful because of the whole artifact trait thing. Like, I'm cool with progressing my artifact weapon, but I need more than 1 day to get 20 traits for my artifact weapon. But it is what it is. Overall, I'm pretty happy, guys. I really don't mind. I think that a lot of the classes changed for the better in terms of play style. Maybe the numbers are a little out of whack. Maybe there's a little tuning that needs to be happening. But overall, like, the play styles seem to be, like, I have more abilities as a Demon Hunter to press. That's a pretty big deal. I have, as a Fire Mage, I can actually play my class in Arena and feel good about it. As Arcane, I can play it. As Frost, I can play it if I want to. And I think that having all the classes available to be played at a viable level is a step in the right direction, and I think that 7.1.5 has taken us one step closer to that eventual goal of being able to play every class, every spec, and whatever, and do whatever you got to do in Arena, and also have fun and be able to play any class at all. So I just thought I'd hop on here and share my thoughts about the patch, and hopefully resonate with some of you guys out there who may have struggled with the same stuff that I did. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Be sure to give a big thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I'll be putting out some tutorials for you guys tomorrow about Mage, and we're gonna do some Mage stuff for the rest of this week because I'm enjoying the Arcane spec, and I want to show you guys some stuff that I've learned along the way. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow.